Hi, Perfume Coasters here, so welcome to my channel. This video is part 4 of the rundowns dedicated to 2024 releases, this time designer brands. Now, quick reminder, I've covered my collection of niche 2024s in my 3 previous videos, so if you're interested, you may certainly find this here on my channel. Now, without losing any time, let's dive straight into the ocean of perfumes. So this video is all about flankers of some really great originals created by various designer brands across various years. And I have to say that a lot of times designer brand releases are treated as somewhat linear. But as linear as may be, they should not necessarily be considered as boring. I personally happen to own quite a few designer brand releases, and I like them, I love them. Many of them are great, and certainly a major part of them have this specific and special aura around them. But without further ado, let's get into this, and the first fragrance I'm going to talk about is called Devotion Intense by Dolce Gabbana. And this, of course, a flanker of 2023 release of the same brand with the same name. So the notes of this fragrance are hazelnut on the top, we've got orange blossom in the middle, and finally there is vanilla in the base. Well, as far as my personal impressions about this fragrance are concerned, I do not personally smell an awful lot of hazelnut here, which is a shame. Another thing I'd like to mention is that when I first smelled this fragrance, I was rather disappointed because it reminded me of the original, and to the point of being identical to it. So I thought that this fragrance might have been redundant. But then as I tested this out more, I realized that I was wrong, and that the kind of opening that the original had was completely different from this one. So whilst the original is opening up with this zesty bright citrus, this one starts off with this full-fledged gourmand straight away. So what we're having and dealing here is this freshly baked vanilla cake association. Vanilla cake stuffed with candied citrus fruit, perhaps. So this fragrance is also often compared to other releases by other houses, such as, for example, Acro by Bake or Lyra by Xerjoff. And as far as Lyra is concerned, to me, for example, this one, Lyra, smells a lot more vintagey and perfumey as compared to this one. Plus, Lyra is a lot more complex fragrance, and for a good reason, because Lyra belongs to niche brand, and niche brands are excelling in making their scent profiles more complex and more unique. But nonetheless, back to this one, in the deep dry down, it gets woodier and therefore to me more interesting and perfumey again. So I would recommend this scent to those of you who would not necessarily care much for the original one because of this citrusy opening, which you don't have here. Plus, of course, to those of you who've never smelled any Devotion item before. So next up is another flanker by the house Burberry, and this is a flanker of another 2023 release of the same brand. I think it was called Goddess EDP, whilst this one is called Goddess Intense. So the notes of the fragrance are lavender on the top. We've got several kinds of vanillas in the middle, such as vanilla caviar, vanilla bourbon, and vanilla absolute. And finally, in the base, we've got the note of patchouli, which is apparently called to ground this fragrance a bit and provide this extra bit of longevity that many of us are looking for in our fragrances. So I need to mention, when this fragrance first came out, it came across as extremely polarizing to me. And for good reason, because whilst the brand is positioning this fragrance as purely feminine, this fragrance has quite a strong lavender aromatic opening. Lavender that is quite bitter and quite fresh. And these are, of course, characteristics of male scent profile. And I can realize why a lot of fans of original release might be put off by this stronger lavender presence. Nonetheless, I really enjoy this fragrance because I treat this fragrance as two fragrances in one bottle. For example, I may spritz this fragrance early in the morning when I'm going to the office or when I'm starting off running my errands. And there's this fresh aromatic aroma around me. And then in the middle of the day, it changes to something else. It changes to vanilla scent. So in my case, lavender lasts for about 2 to 3 hours, and then this abrupt change straight away to vanilla and to gourmand note. So that's why I would recommend this fragrance to those of you who are like me, who like both aromatic and gourmand scent profile, but also to those of you who do not mind this abrupt change of the fragrance from aromatic straight away a shift in the vanilla direction. So next up, yet another flanker by House Lancome, and it's called La Nuit Tresor. This one has been preceded by many other releases, including original, which unfortunately I haven't smelled. But this one I liked from the first spritz because it's a nice and elegant scent. But now let's take a look at the note. So the notes are, we've got blackcurrant here. In the middle we've got rose, and then in the base we've got cocoa and patchouli. Now this one comes across as extremely fruity in the opening due to this bright and sour sweet blackcurrant. So I consider it to be therefore this berries forward scent. Then as the scent progresses, I feel a lot more cocoa, and then this cocoa makes this fragrance shift in a sweet direction, but it never overpowers this initial fruity note. Therefore, this fragrance remains quite linear till the very end, where cocoa note is nicely intermingling this bright and sweet, bittersweet blackcurrant. So overall, I consider this fragrance to be more appropriate to the evening occasion. Plus, again, this is one of those examples which, when linear, is not necessarily boring, because sometimes we just need our fragrances to hang on and not go anywhere during the day. And finally, we've got another flanker, which is called Perfect Elixir by Marc Jacobs. So this one again has been preceded by many other releases, including original. I happen to own the previous one as well, which is called Perfect Intense, with this notoriously known note of popcorn, which I do not necessarily smell all the time, but nonetheless it's there every now and then, maybe based on the multitude of reviews that I've come across. So let's take a look at the notes. So the notes are plum, honey, rhubarb on the top. Then in the middle we've got amber and orange blossom. And finally in the base we've got vanilla, raisins and patchouli. So this scent I thought is very unique, especially given that this is a designer release. And this is one of those examples when my nose interprets the notes quite differently from the actual notes list. Because what I feel from the first spritz is loads of almond, but not only almond, the almond which is honeyed, but nonetheless fresh. For this reason, I consider this fragrance to be quite versatile in terms of occasions, because on the one hand it has loads of sweetness, on the other hand it has loads of freshness, so you can wear it basically from morning till night. But that's it, guys. That wraps up my video. So if you found this video any valuable, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, please like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.